guys, Lori here. I'm so excited because I finally have been able to prep all my videos for you until the very end of March, which is so exciting. So the last video that you guys are going to see this month is the authors that were new to me in January and February in 2019. Now, these are authors that I haven't read before, and I just want to tell you guys the author, the book that I read, my quick thoughts about the author in general, and would I buy, borrow, or not bother with their reads. I'm lucky that I didn't have any not bother. Really, I do have a lot of borrows, but there are a couple buys that I wanted to share. I think that this is important for me to do because I have been trying to expand the authors that I read. And I have a lot of new authors planned. So yeah, I'm going to try to do this every 2 months. Just depends on how many new authors I read. I might do it every month. But yeah, I just want to give you guys more features. Let me know if you guys like this in the comments and what other features you guys would like me to do video-wise every month. I am happy to oblige. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first book, or the first new author I wound up reading in 2019 was Amy Plum, and she wrote Dreamfall. Liking this book. I thought it was a really interesting thriller. It was a super fast-paced read too. I think it was just 300 pages. I just wish the world building was a little bit more expanded on, and I felt like it was super short. So I would have liked a more fleshed out story. But I definitely will be reading book 2. I actually did get book 2 as a gift. But in the future with her, I would probably consider borrowing her books just to see what she does with her other series before I commit. Because I do like fleshed out worlds, and she didn't really give that to me in the first books. But for me, her books would definitely be considered a borrow, but I will definitely be checking out the other books in the series and maybe checking out her other series as well. The next author I'm going to chat about is Mia Garcia, and she wrote the contemporary book, The Resolution. Super solid contemporary read for me. I actually really liked it. I thought it was a super fun premise for a story, and I loved both the diversity of the read, but also the diversity of the characters and the writing. I just found it to be a super fun read, and I would definitely read more by this author in the future. It didn't wow me enough to buy it, her next book, but I would definitely consider renting it from the library like I did now. Just because I don't think I would probably reread the story, but it was a really fascinating read, and I love learning more about the Latina culture. So yeah, so I would definitely wind up reading more by her in the future. I'm just not sure I would buy her books unless a series really captured me, or she wrote a companion series that I had to, or wrote a series or something. But other than that, I was really impressed with her writing and her storytelling, and I would definitely read more books by her in the future, but probably borrow them, at least for the moment. Authors I'm going to chat about is Zak Elephant Clarke and his writing partner for the Adventures Guild. I actually really like this book. I thought it was a super fast-paced story, and it was a really fun adventure story that I really liked. It's not a level of Rick Riordan or Harry Potter quite yet, but that might change in the series. Right now, I would say I would probably borrow them from my library or try to get some arcs of them. That's what I do. I have the first 2 arcs, and that's how I've been reading them. But they're really fun. I'm hoping that book 2 really expands the world, and I think it will because we're getting a much longer book. But yeah, I would definitely consider borrowing these or trying to get arcs. And if it becomes my favorite series, then I might wind up buying hardbacks. But it's too early to tell with this series about how I will be acquiring them. The next author I'm going to chat about is Natashia Ink for Girls of Paper and Fire. Definitely one of the highlight reads, new authors that I've read so far, and I actually really like this book. It would definitely be in my buy category. I just loved the writing style. I loved how it really focused on diversity. I love the LGBTQ romance. It's definitely the part of the start of a series, which means I definitely have to stay up to date. I thought that it did almost a Beauty and the Beast retelling, kind of, with some elements of it. Not really, but the prince goes for the serving girl. I just found that trope so well done, and I really enjoyed it. But I do actually have a signed book of this, so I'm definitely gonna have to acquire the others for my collection. But yeah, I'll definitely be buying these books to complete my collection for sure. Talk about in this video is The Similars by Rebecca Handover. series or author that I really wound up enjoying. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna buy it or borrow it. I am giving the ARC to my kids at school, so I might wind up getting them maybe on my Kindle or maybe just borrow them from the library. Just depends on how much I really like the series. But yeah, I was super impressed with it and I really enjoyed it. I thought she had like a tightly wound story. I loved how she focused on ethical debates in this. It was really well done. It's probably leaning more towards a buy, especially if I could meet her in the future. But yeah, it was a really strong read, and I'm leaning more towards buy, but it might be a borrow just for space issues that always come up when you're a book lover. But I actually wound up really enjoying this, and this was another high author on my new author list so far this year. The next author is Elizabeth Gilbert from Big Magic. This is a nonfiction book all about creative living beyond fear, and I actually do have a physical copy of this book, but I wound up listening to the audiobook through my library and I really enjoyed it, and I would love to listen to more of her books, like especially her nonfiction stories, just because they're super inspiring and I would love to take those life lessons into my real life. But yeah, I do actually own the book, but I would probably be more inclined for this author to get like the audiobooks because she actually reads them herself, and I love when authors like can read the stories themselves because I think it just adds another level to the storytelling that I really enjoy. But yeah, so that was my thoughts on Elizabeth. I would probably be more inclined to get the audiobooks for this author. And the last author I'm going to chat about in this video is Ashley Elston. Space Chick has raved about this author for the past year, so I finally wound up picking up one of her books, and I actually really enjoyed it. Again, she's probably one of my new favorite thriller / contemporary authors that I found this year. This book was definitely more of like a contemporary, but her other books are all thrillers. I actually own like 3 of them, so even before I read her books, I was really impressed with the summaries and stuff, but I really loved it. I think that she does a really good way of crafting a mystery, even the subtle mystery that we got in The Lying Woods. But I'll definitely be checking out all of her books, and I will probably buy them all so I could keep them on my shelves. I already do have This Is Our Story, and I have a couple of her other ones as well. But yeah, this author really impressed me. So let me know in the comments what are some authors that were new to you in January and February, and what were your thoughts on them. The only author that I didn't mention in this video was Sophie Jordan, who wrote The Me I Meant to Be. Her writing came out a little bit immature, and I just wasn't that invested in the story. So I would really have to really be super invested in her plot summary or her summary before I attempt another book. Just because the writing style just didn't impress me, and the story didn't impress me. That's the only story that that new author that I read that just didn't wow me, but not enough that I would never read her again. I would just be more selective in what book I choose. But yeah, so that's all my thoughts on the new authors that I've read in January and February. Let me know your thoughts. If these are some of your favorite authors, why do you like them, or who are some of your new favorite authors that you were exposed to in January, February of this year? And I'll talk to you guys next month for another video. Bye.